It's Yours Radio, Live 97.5, everything urban. Breakfast Club in the morning. Brian Banks tonight. Donnie O, Devin Beck.
Yes.
We have with us on the live line S.J. Claybon, who has an incredible book that we're going to get into. It's the American Psyche, Black and White. So, good brother. Listen, Beck. Now, I ride my bike. I try to do 3 to 4 days a week. Try to get in about 10 miles. Sometimes it doesn't always run. Sometimes 8. I come up short sometimes. But mostly I try to get 10 miles in.
That's good.
But the brothers, but brother said 20.
He said 20.
He said 20
in a day.
In a day.
Right?
I do 20.
I got to step my game up, brother. I got to step my game up. Oh my goodness, man! If you don't mind me asking, what kind of bike do you have?
I have a Fuji. It's a hybrid.
See, that's what it is. See, you know what I'm riding? I got a beach bike.
Oh yeah, no wonder. No wonder. You built for chilling riding. He built for comfort.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. So so go ahead. Get in the book just a little bit. Let the listeners know. Just give them a snapshot of the book.
Okay. Yeah, give you a quick overview. So I look at the book. It's an abbreviated history book. It's thoroughly researched, so it's all research based. Everything is cited, and it focuses on how the social structure and the governance structure of the country have shaped the psyche of the American people. And a few topics, I'm just going to touch on a few things that I cover in the book. I start the book with the ratification of the Constitution in 1788. And I deliberately started with 1788 because this is after the Revolutionary War. Constitutional Congress had met, and this country was stood up by the framers of what we live in now, the United States. And I touch on, in the first chapter, I touch on the original Constitution. I also touch on, as we move through the book, I touch on the influence that the Northern Missionary Association and the philanthropy organizations from the North after the emancipation had on black education and the ideologies that was pushed. I also focus on, in the book, the Hollywood motion picture and television industry and the influence it has on the psyche. And still to this day, it has on the psyche. I focus on the social construct of race and the innate privilege of whiteness. The social construct, race was created, and we're all human beings. So, but they created this thing, and they ranked us, the human beings, and white was superior, and that innate privilege still resonate today. And I also focus on, as a collective, how black folks perpetuate white supremacy within their own communities and neighborhoods. And it's so normalized, no one says anything about it. And that's just a few of the topics I wanted to share with the readers. I think it's a great read. I think it's an easy read, and it's packed with historical information.
And with that history, I mean, I'm a huge history buff. I love history, and when you talked about the creation of race, which a lot of folks, I see people mislabeling race. They'll say Hispanics, and they're naming like people from different, like China, the Asians. Oh, that's right. That's not considered. That those are where you're from. That's not an actual race. Which there's really no race, like you said. It's just a human race. That's it.
Right.
But like you said, they did that during slavery to separate the slaves from those who were enslaved and those who weren't enslaved. So if you were black, you were enslaved and you were less than. And like you said, and it continues to be that way Not the slave part. It's more of a mental thing. And like you said, this hence the psyche. You know what I mean?
The psyche, yes. That's the whole premise of the book.
Yeah.
How the psyche has been shaped.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of each chapter, I actually, and I don't say I use the word perhaps, where I'm giving, where I think if we move in this direction, I think we could somewhat try to mitigate this stuff. I mean, it's so deeply ingrained in the culture. But one of my goals is when I was writing the book, my focus was the babies. When I use the word babies, I'm just talking about young kids, because I would love to book, and I'm working on trying to get the book into high schools, maybe junior, senior in high school, colleges and universities have it as required reading. Mm-hmm. But at some point, the cycle, we have to break that cycle. And, I probably won't be around, but I'm hoping at some point we'll start seeing and looking at one another as just human beings.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
Yes.
And even you going to talking about the entertainment industry. I mean, we're in entertainment, we're in media here on the radio station, and what we do, and just, from media, like you said, Hollywood, sports, I mean, you name it, there's always that pecking order, and people think it's just in the United States. It's not just the United States, it's worldwide.
It's all over.
It's all over. Exactly. Yep. Exactly. And I think you really hit on something with this book, because I think to your point earlier, we so often this stuff is ingrained in us, and we do it out of habit because it's in us, and we don't take a step back and really look at it for what it really is. And we do it amongst ourselves. Even with colorism within our own, community, light skin, dark skin.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So. Yep.
Hair texture.
Exactly. Good hair, bad hair, and kinky,
yes.
All that. So.
Yes.
Yes. When I had hair, I had waves, and you know what I mean.
Yeah. You ain't had a Kevin Durant.
I ain't had no Kevin Durant. I had a pretty good grade, as they say. I had a good grade back then, many moons ago. But we actually, my SJ, my co-host, who's actually with the Board of Education in our area here on the shore. I mean, getting it in the schools, that would be that would be incredible. Which, by the way, you deal with.
I'm the facilitator of recruitment, retention, and equity. And so, what my position is I'm trying to get highly qualified, diverse staff into our county. And so what I'm finding is that the difficulty is explaining to people what the Eastern Shore is, or what this area is, if you're coming from a predominantly black space. And so, how do we make more equitable spaces and make our African American staff or our teachers of color feel more comfortable within our system? It's hard. It's definitely a difficult job.
Can I ask a question in terms of the Eastern Shore? Not familiar with the public school system there, but I know the state of Maryland, when you look at it across the nation, I think Massachusetts, New Jersey, and I think Maryland or Minnesota or somewhere fall next. So how is the public school system in the Eastern Shore?
I mean, it is predominantly white spaces as far as our teachers.
Okay.
We do have a growing Hispanic population. That's Maryland wide, but it's hard to find those diverse staff. So, kind of what I've been into is really building our Grow Your Own programs and our Employee to Teacher programs. So I want to send people back to school that are from here, that want to get their teacher certificate, because I don't have to explain to you what the demographic is. You're from here, opposed to somebody who might be moving here. They might stay here for a year and then leave, right? So what I'm trying to find is what is going to keep somebody in our county that isn't from our county. Like how do we change? Because somebody that's from here might know how to navigate this. Somebody who's not from here would, obviously go, this isn't the place for me. And I mean, it's both, I want anybody that comes to our county to leave better than which they came, right?
Gotcha. Yes.
Yeah. And this kind of stand in that lane a little bit. And you touched on it a bit earlier, SJ, about it being ingrained in us and at an early age. And we don't have to be told. We just look at society. And when we start with education, the kids go to school, and I'm using the Eastern Shore as an example, but in the inner cities it's a little different because you have many primarily still segregated. You still have primarily black schools, and because I worked at City Light School in DC before they shut it down, so it was like 99% black. You know what I mean? But out on the Eastern Shore we don't have that, so it's a mixture, but it's still predominantly white. So, and it's like that for the most part nationwide. Nationwide for the most part. That's how it is. I mean, there's 70, a little over, almost 70% of the population. So obviously that's the way it is, nationwide. But just from society standpoint, educationally, and then you look at society as well. But I'm just using education for a lot of these kids. They come into the schools without being told, who has the authority. Right. Who has the upper hand? You look at the teachers. You look at education, and you see majority white faces, and so from that standpoint, you see who's in charge. Educationally, you go into the banks, you see mostly white faces. On TV, wherever you go, for the most part. Obviously, there's some it's different in certain areas, but I'm just saying for the majority. So these kids are growing up, and you don't have to tell them the pecking order. They kind of see it, and for us, I mean, we kind of play that role early, and then we're told, that we're black, we're lesser than. We listen to a lot of our music. We're degrading the sisters, and the street culture is glorified. You see the brothers come home from prison. They throw on welcome home parties, but you
won't support your business.
But that won't support your business. But the kids that are going to college, they're not celebrating them the same way. They're not having going away. They have a going away party for someone going to prison, but they won't have a going away party for someone that's going off to college. Yeah, you see it so often. So that's all part of our culture. Like you mentioned, the culture of it, and but also society in a broader sense. So I think your book definitely helps open up eyes and show not just kids, but I think adults as well, because sometimes they just don't know.
Yes. I think it's a great book. I mean, it'd be great for book clubs. It's a great conversation piece. I think it would be great for the churches. I just think it's a great educational resource for the home. And speaking of this whole race thing, so when this country was stood up, 1788, and I touch on this in the book, so I'm just going to give a little nugget really quickly based on the conversation we're having. But there was the Nationality Act was passed in 1790. And this country was meant, this was said, the Nationality Act, it said where whiteness was a prerequisite in order to immigrate and get citizenship in this country. And this didn't really change until I want to say the 1964 to 1965 Civil Immigration and Nationalization Act. So, and then you start to see a lot of influx of folks coming into the country. But so I think it's good to understand the history, and I think my book kind of captures a lot of that. And like I said, I think it would be a great conversation piece for folks. And you said the brothers that are incarcerated. It would be a great conversation piece for them to kind of see this thing for what it is. And I just think we as a collective Black folks as a collective really need to change how we move and understand it.
Definitely. It's George Radio, live 97.5, everything urban. Breakfast Club in the morning, Ryan Banks tonight, Donnie O, Devin Beck. I'm going to get to some more music, and then we're going to come right back. Again, we're talking about the incredible book, The American Psyche, Black and White. We're going to have more conversation on the other side. Listen at that. On the other side. It's George Radio, live 97.5, everything urban. Breakfast Club in the morning, Ryan Banks at night. Yes, indeed. Beck, you got anything you want to add?
Nah, I think I'm glad that you're touching on topics such as this. We need to continue to have the conversations. I definitely want to explore more about your book and possibly introduce it to our board and people in our school systems, so we can have deeper conversations about race and things of that nature. So thank you for everything that you're doing.
Yes, and it doesn't disparage anybody. When I was writing, I made sure I'm not disparaging any group of people.
Uh-huh.
So I think it will ease that conversation, whether you're white, black. I think it'll ease the conversation to sit down and have that conversation, because that conversation needs to be had.
Yeah, and I think for some people, as soon as you throw that word race out there, it makes them uneasy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And particularly white and black too sometimes, but particularly white, because it's automatically okay, what they're about to say. They're not sure where you're about to go with it.
Yeah.
But like you said, once you see, okay, I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not blaming you, because automatically they think it becomes that, we're playing victim and it's because of you and because of your ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's a lot deeper than that.
And what we call it is white fragility.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly. And Michael Eric Dyson spoke on that.
Yeah. So when you start talking about certain things that happened, especially within the past, you'll get people to say, "Well, I didn't do that." But what we want you to know is that you've benefited from everything that's happened for us to get here, right? And so that's once you get past that fragility part, we can have deeper conversations about what the real issues are and what the real issues continue to be. Because though it is 2024, we still have a long way to go with a lot of things, especially when it comes to race in this country.
Yes.
Again, good brother. Anything else before we let you go?
No, I would just like to say I really appreciate you and your co-host for having me on. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And you guys have a nice evening.
Thanks.
You do the same.
You do the same. Good brother.
Another 20 miles, man. Here's to another 20 miles on that bike, man.
All right, guys. Take care.